Alison. I'm the Programs Outreach and Youth Services Manager here at Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you so much for joining me this evening for another episode of Book Chat. Tonight I am going to chat with you about a graphic novel. It is the graphic novel adaptation of the book Kindred by Octavia Butler, and it's very, very good. If you haven't read the actual novel, I would suggest that you read that too. It's one of my favorite books, and I always enjoy a graphic novel adaptation. Kindred is about a woman named Dana, and Dana finds one day, she lives in and exists in the 1970s, and she finds one day that she is just transported back to the South, the slave-owning South, and she meets a little boy, and she has an interaction with him, and she ends up saving him, and then she quickly goes back to her present day, the 1970s. And this happens more and more frequently, and her stays in the South are longer and longer, and she can't exactly figure out what is causing it or what causes her to go back in time and what triggers her going back to her present day. In her present day, she has a romantic partner, and at one point in the action, he ends up coming back in time with her, and he is a white man, so he has a very different presence in slave-owning South than Dana, who is a black woman, has. And it's just very interesting because as she's going back in time, she jumps forward in the past, if that makes sense. So the first time that she goes, she interacts with this young boy, and then the next time she goes back, he's a little bit older. So she always ends up with the same group of characters, but they're aging in the past. And her relationship with this young man starts to develop in really alarming but not surprising ways, in that, you know, he is a white man in the slave-owning South, and his family owns slaves, and so he starts to see his view of her as a black woman changes as she goes back in time, and the experiences that she has in relation to him change as well. So it's just a very interesting mix of genres. If you've read any of Octavia Butler's work, you know that she deals a lot in science fiction, and so there's the whole time travel aspect of this book that's really interesting. I really like time travel stories, mixed in with like a historical fiction flair, because we're going back in time. There's a lot of conversation about race relations, obviously, and then also I think that there's another layer of it, of how racism is developed and in young people as they're growing up. So it's, as I said, this is the graphic novel adaptation of the novel. If you haven't read the novel, I would recommend that too. But this is fun. Like I said, I love reading graphic novel adaptations. It brings a whole nother layer because you have the visuals along with it. So we have this in our collection. If you have any graphic novel adaptations that you'd like to recommend, please let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.